the 11th of November 1943. 0530 hours, Bougainville Island, Solomon Islands. A heavy jungle fog clung to the perimeter of the 3rd Marine Division's forward line at Empress Augusta Bay. Staff Sergeant Thomas Michael Callahan rested his cheek against the wooden stock of his Springfield rifle, his eye perfectly centered behind the Unertal 8. Power scope. In his left hand he held an object no strategist would have taken seriously, a dented, rust-stained Campbell's chicken noodle soup can. Both ends cut out, a small hole punched through its side. Through the scope, Callahan studied Japanese positions 700 yards away across the cleared killing ground. The soup can was mounted on a stick planted 15 yards to his left, set at the precise angle he had worked out the night before. At 0547 hours, the first edge of morning sunlight struck the metal. A sharp flash of reflected light streaked across the clearing, aimed directly at a cluster of palm fronds hiding a Japanese observation post. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The reflection stayed fixed for 2 seconds. Then Callahan nudged the stick 1 inch, and the beam shifted. 700 yards away, curiosity overcame discipline. The Japanese observer leaned out to investigate the odd glint, lifting his head above the sandbag parapet for no more than 3 seconds. The Springfield cracked once. The observer dropped. The opening kill of what would become the most destructive 5 days in Pacific sniper history had been made. Before the week was over, Sergeant Callahan would use variations of the soup can ruse to remove 112 confirmed enemy soldiers, reshape Marine Corps sniper doctrine, and push an entire Japanese regiment into tactical paralysis through what his battalion commander would later describe as the most inventive psychological warfare effort of the Pacific Campaign. What began as a desperate improvisation using empty ration cans evolved into a systematic method the Japanese had no answer for. The arithmetic of death was changing not through greater firepower or manpower, but through human creativity applied to discarded refuse. The path to Bougainville had started 6 months earlier at Marine Corps. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. North Carolina. Thomas Callahan, a farm kid from rural Montana, enlisted in 1941 at 19. Just days after Pearl Harbor. Years of hunting mule deer and elk in the Bitterroot Mountains had given him an instinctive grasp of ballistics, wind drift, and patience that formal training could not teach. His company commander, Captain Harold Morrison, noticed him during a routine rifle qualification in March 1943. While other Marines fired without hesitation, Callahan paused an extra 15 seconds before each shot, adjusting for a crosswind most shooters ignored. He scored 48 out of 50 at 300 yards using iron sights. Morrison pulled him aside. "You hunt before the war." "Elk mostly, some deer." "How far?" 700 yards. "With my dad's 6 iron sights." 3 days later, Callahan received orders to attend Scout Sniper School at Camp Pendleton, California. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. In 1943, the Marine Corps Scout Sniper program focused less on raw marksmanship and more on reconnaissance and psychological pressure. The psychology block was taught by Gunnery Sergeant William Henderson. Killing the enemy is a last resort, Henderson told every class. Your mission is intelligence. You observe, you report, but when you do fire, you make it matter. You shoot to leave an impression on the ones who survive. Callahan thrived in the mental aspect of the work. Growing up hunting in Montana had taught him that elk could stand frozen for hours, then disappear instantly at the slightest mistake. He carried that same discipline into stalking exercises. For the final test, students were required to stalk within 200 yards of instructors scanning with binoculars. Callahan completed the stalk in 9 hours. The instructors never saw him until he stood, waved, and fired his shot. After graduation, Henderson pulled him aside. "You're good, but you still think like a hunter. The Japs aren't elk. They adapt. They learn patterns. The sniper who survives isn't the best show tits, the one who never does the same thing twice." Callahan deployed to the South Pacific in July 1943, assigned to 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marine Division. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The landing at Empress Augusta Bay on the 1st of November involved 14,000 Marines. By the 3rd of November, a defensive perimeter was established. Callahan spent his first week in standard infantry, fighting against light but determined Japanese resistance. On the 8th of November, disaster struck. His spotter, Corporal James Rivera, was killed by a Japanese sniper during reconnaissance. Rivera raised his binoculars for 3 seconds to confirm a target. A concealed sniper, positioned in a tree platform 600 yards away, delivered a perfect headshot. Callahan remained motionless for 30 minutes, absorbing grief and anger. He studied the jungle, tracing angles, weighing distances. Instead of calling for artillery or rushing into retaliation, he withdrew. He carried Rivera's body back to friendly lines and requested permission to hunt the enemy sniper using unconventional means. Captain Morrison, under pressure to cut losses, agreed. That night, Callahan sat in his foxhole analyzing the problem. The Japanese sniper was perfectly hidden. Binoculars were useless. A direct assault would be fatal. Artillery would accomplish nothing. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. He needed a way to force the sniper to expose himself without giving away his own position. As Callahan ate his evening sea-ration chicken noodle soup, heated over a fuel tablet opened and caught the fading sunlight. A sharp reflection flashed across his foxhole. Callahan stared at the can, then into the jungle, then back at the metal. 15 minutes later, he was explaining his idea to Morrison. You want to use soup cans as bait? Not bait, distraction, confusion. The Japs are trained to spot movement, sound, muzzle flash. They're not trained for random light reflections. If I make them curious, they'll shift to investigate. That's when I shoot. Morrison thought it over. You'd need multiple cans. Different positions, something they can't ignore. Morrison approved the mission. Callahan would operate with a 4-man security team and test the technique on targets of opportunity before attempting to track down the sniper who had killed Rivera. The 9th of November marked the first test. Callahan set up 300 yards behind the front line, overlooking a clearing the Japanese used to move between positions. Before dawn, he spent 2 hours planting 5 soup cans on wooden stakes, each one angled to catch the morning sun. At 0615, the sun crested the horizon. Working carefully, Callahan adjusted each can through a string system he had rigged, producing controlled flashes aimed at Japanese-held ground. The first flash held for 3 seconds, then vanished. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. 30 seconds later, a flash came from a different location for 20 minutes. There was no response. Then a Japanese soldier stepped partially out of the tree line, searching for the source of the strange signals. He assumed American forces were using mirrors for communication. He lifted his binoculars to get a better look. Callahan fired. The round struck the soldier in the chest at 480 yards. He went down. Callahan withdrew immediately, relocating 300 yards south to an entirely new position. The soup cans remained behind, continuing to throw off random reflections. 30 minutes later, Japanese mortars pounded the area where Callahan had originally been. More than 50 rounds exploded in empty jungle. That afternoon, Callahan refined the method. He punched small holes in select areas of the cans to alter reflection patterns. Some cans were smeared with mud to dull certain surfaces, while others were left bright. He improved the remote adjustment system using string and simple pulleys. The evening briefing at battalion headquarters drew unexpected attention. Lieutenant Colonel Michael O'Brien listened closely. We've identified at least 15 Japanese sniper positions in this sector. They're killing 3 to 5 Marines a day. If your method works, we can reverse the situation. How many do you think you can realistically take out? If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Callahan thought for a moment. If I can set up properly, and if they don't adapt, maybe 20 to 30 in a week assuming good conditions. O'Brien made his decision. You have 5 days. I'll assign a dedicated security team. Your sole mission is to eliminate enemy snipers by whatever means work. After 5 days, we'll evaluate. The 10th of November began with detailed reconnaissance. Callahan selected 7 primary firing positions with clear lines of sight to known Japanese locations 400 to 800 yards away. Each site required a different soup can set up based on sun angle, enemy placement, and available cover. The first success came at 0745. Callahan arranged 6 soup cans in a rough semicircle facing Japanese lines. Using his string system, he created a precise sequence: a 5-second flash from position 1, followed by a 3-second flash from position 3. The pattern repeated 3 times. Through his scope, Callahan watched Japanese positions 640 yards away. After the sequence repeated, 2 Japanese soldiers emerged from concealed bunker entrance, clearly arguing about the light signals. One pointed toward the cans. The other raised binoculars. Callahan was positioned 90 degrees off, axis from the soup cans, creating a perfect ambush angle. The soldiers were completely focused on the decoys, unaware the real threat was on their flank. His first shot dropped the man with the binoculars. The second shot killed his companion. By the evening of the 10th of November, Callahan had 9 confirmed kills using variations of the soup can technique. Japanese forces trained to counter conventional threats had no answer for weaponized distraction. The 11th of November brought the encounter that would define the operation. Callahan had identified a Japanese position believed to house their primary sniper. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The position, concealed high in a large tree roughly 700 yards east of the Marine lines, had been responsible for at least 6 American casualties. The Japanese sniper operating from that tree was highly skilled. He never fired twice from the same spot and showed flawless fire discipline. Every Marine counter-sniper attempt had failed. Callahan spent the 10th of November studying the tree. He concluded the sniper had at least 3 separate firing points within the same tree, linked by hidden platforms. The problem was forcing such a disciplined operator to reveal himself. Standard soup can tactics would not work. This sniper was too seasoned to react to random flashes of light. Callahan needed something stronger. The answer came from understanding Japanese priorities. Their snipers were intelligence collectors as much as shooters, tracking American positions, movements, and equipment. What would compel a sniper like this to break cover? Callahan devised what he called the command post gambit. He arranged soup cans to produce light patterns resembling American signal communication, but added deliberate theater. His security team moved openly, carrying radios, map cases, and gear that suggested a forward command post. The soup cans were then positioned to flash signals that appeared to pass between this command post and the front line from the Japanese sniper's viewpoint. It was a valuable target. A forward command post using visual signals implied opportunity and vulnerability. The sniper would have to observe it. Callahan took position 500 yards north of the fake command post, with a clear view of the suspected sniper tree. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. At 0930, he began the signal display. His security team played their roles perfectly, moving with intent and appearing to coordinate defenses. For 90 minutes, nothing happened. At 11:15, Callahan noticed movement in the target tree. A branch shifted in a way that didn't match the wind. Years of hunting elk had trained him to recognize such subtle signs. Using his 8-power scope, he searched the tree methodically. At 11:23, he found it, a small opening in the foliage, about 15 inches wide, positioned for a clear view of the fake command post. As he watched, the opening darkened slightly. Someone had moved in behind it. Callahan made minute adjustments. He controlled his breathing, slowing his pulse. The distance was 712 yards. Wind was roughly 8 miles per hour from the southeast. He held 2 feet to the right and aimed 30 inches high. At 11:27, the barrel of a Japanese rifle pushed through the foliage, only 6 inches of steel, but enough to confirm the firing position. Callahan waited as the barrel steadied. The sniper was preparing to fire. Callahan took the shot. The .30-06 round traveled through the humid jungle air, roughly 2 seconds of flight. It passed cleanly through the opening and struck exactly where Callahan had aimed. Through the scope, he saw the rifle barrel drop, followed by the body falling through the branches, crashing down through multiple platforms before hitting the ground. Later that day, Marines cleared the position. They recovered extensive sniper equipment and a logbook documenting 53 American casualties over 3 months. They also recovered the body of a Japanese sergeant, later identified as one of the 6th Division's most seasoned snipers. The afternoon of the 11th of November brought an unexpected complication. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Japanese forces, having lost their primary sniper along with several others to unexplained incidents, altered their behavior. They stopped reacting to random light flashes. They pulled observers back. Fire discipline tightened. Callahan recognized the shift immediately. His technique had been so effective that the enemy was now countering it by refusing to engage with anything suspicious. The answer was escalation. If the Japanese would no longer investigate stray flashes, Callahan would have to create situations they could not afford to ignore. On the 12th of November, Callahan deployed 8 soup cans instead of his usual 5 or 6. He arranged them to resemble a coordinated signaling network linking multiple American positions. The pattern suggested large-scale troop movement or attack preparation. These were no longer random reflections. They simulated structured tactical communication exactly, the kind of activity Japanese intelligence could not disregard. The method worked. By midday on the 12th of November, Callahan had recorded 16 confirmed kills. Japanese units, desperate to decipher American intentions, dispatched reconnaissance teams and observation parties. Each attempt to investigate created another opening. The Japanese battalion commander opposing Callahan's sector, Major Tishi Yamamoto, grew increasingly frustrated. His war diary, captured after the battle, recorded his confusion. Enemy employs unknown signaling methods. Attempts to locate sources result in casualties. Sniper fire of exceptional accuracy eliminates observers, unable to determine if signals are genuine tactical communication or deception. Morale declining. Stories like these reveal how tactical innovation and psychological pressure shaped the outcomes of World War II battle. Show ordinary soldiers achieved extraordinary results through ingenuity and resolve. The 13th of November marked Callahan's most lethal single day. He achieved 27 confirmed kills using increasingly refined versions of the soup can deception. He expanded his repertoire, the command post ruse, patrol signal patterns suggesting coordinated movements, and artillery observer simulations implying forward spotting for bombardment. Each gambit targeted Japanese fears and intelligence priorities. They could not ignore potential threats. Investigation became compulsory. Exposure followed. Death was inevitable. The psychological damage exceeded the raw casualty figures. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Japanese troops grew fearful of any unusual visual cue. A captured diary from the period reflected the effect. The Americans used demon magic. Light appears from nowhere and draws our men to death. Officers forbid investigation, but intelligence demands it. 3 men from my squad killed investigating signals. I no longer trust my eyes. The 14th of November brought the technique to peak effectiveness. Callahan recorded 31 confirmed kills. Timing, placement, and pattern design had been perfected. His security team functioned flawlessly. More than 20 soup cans, spread across multiple positions, formed a web of deception the Japanese could not navigate safely. The climax came at 14:30 hours. Callahan arranged the cans to suggest a large-scale American assault was being coordinated. Japanese forces, convinced a major assault was imminent, began repositioning multiple units. That movement required troops to cross open ground, and officers had to expose themselves to coordinate defensive measures. Over the next 90 minutes, Callahan and his security team engaged targets of opportunity with ruthless precision. 11 Japanese soldiers were killed, including 2 officers whose loss caused command confusion that weakened the entire defensive sector. That evening, Lieutenant Colonel O'Brien summoned Callahan to battalion headquarters. "You're 5 days in tomorrow. Current tally is 103 confirmed kills, with observers verifying 89. That's not just effective, it's revolutionary." O'Brien continued, "Division wants a full report on your methods. They're considering adapting these tactics across the Marine Corps. How do you feel about training other snipers?" Callahan thought for a moment. "Sir, it isn't just the cans. It's understanding enemy psychology, knowing what they can't ignore, and forcing them into impossible choices. The cans are only tools. The real weapon is thinking 3 moves ahead." The 15th of November opened with worsening weather. Heavy cloud cover blocked the sun, eliminating the primary mechanism behind the soup can technique. But Callahan had planned for this. If light wouldn't work, he would use sound. Marine Supply provided empty ammunition cans, larger and more resonant than soup cans. Callahan placed them in trees and brush, filling them with pebbles to create crude noisemakers. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Using strings, he could shake the cans remotely, producing sounds that suggested American movement or equipment activity. The method worked differently, but the result was the same. Japanese troops investigating unexpected noises exposed themselves. By midday, Callahan had added 9 more confirmed kills. The final engagement came at 15:45 hours. A Japanese officer moved between positions, directing defensive preparations. Callahan had set the ammunition cans to draw attention elsewhere. As soldiers investigated the sounds, the officer paused in partial cover, studying a map. Callahan fired from 630 yards. The round struck the officer in the chest, A 1600 hours, exactly 5 days after the operation began, Callahan withdrew from the front lines. His final count stood at 112 confirmed kills, with observers verifying 97. The intelligence assessment filed on the 16th of November documented the results. Summary: Sergeant Callahan employed innovative deception methods to neutralize enemy sniper and observation positions with unprecedented effectiveness. Using improvised light reflectors and sound devices, he compelled enemy personnel to expose themselves for observation and engagement. Results: 112 confirmed enemy casualties, 57 identified as snipers, observers, or communications personnel, 19 confirmed officers or senior enlisted. Estimated 300 enemy man-hours expended investigating false signatures. Enemy intelligence gathering capability degraded by an estimated 6,070. Significant psychological impact on enemy forces. Assessment methodology warrants immediate documentation for potential wider implementation. Recommends Sergeant Callahan be reassigned to training duties to disseminate techniques. The report also recommended immediate promotion and decoration. Japanese reactions revealed the operation's impact from the enemy perspective. Major Yamamoto's final diary entry, written 3 days before his death, was telling: "The American Demon Sniper has destroyed my battalion's effectiveness. 23 men killed investigating inexplicable phenomena. Officers afraid to expose themselves. Soldiers refuse reconnaissance missions. Morale collapsed. Cannot maintain defensive posture under these conditions." A Japanese intelligence report attempted to assess the situation. Enemy appears to have developed new sniper tactics employing sophisticated deception. Light signals and sound devices draw our forces into prepared ambush zones. Conventional counter-sniper doctrine ineffective. Recommend all units enforce strict discipline regarding investigation of unusual phenomena. The report confirmed Callahan's ultimate success. He had forced the enemy into an impossible choice: investigate potential threats and die, or ignore them and operate. "The American Demon Sniper has destroyed my battalion's effectiveness." After the operation, Callahan spent 2 weeks recovering at Area Base. Marine medical officers noted symptoms consistent with combat exhaustion. 5 straight days of sustained, high-stress operations had taken a significant psychological toll. During recovery, Callahan produced detailed documentation of his techniques at the request of Marine Corps headquarters. His after-action report, employment of improvised deception devices in counter-sniper operations, became required reading at Marine sniper schools. An excerpt from the report stated, "The Soupkin technique succeeds because it exploits enemy psychology rather than defeating enemy equipment." If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Japanese forces are trained to observe, analyze, and respond to tactical signatures. By creating false signatures, we force response cycles that expose them to engagement. The key is understanding what the enemy cannot ignore. By January 1944, Marine sniper teams across the Pacific were employing variations of Callahan's methods. Improvised light reflectors became so widespread that supply officers began issuing polished metal plates specifically designed for the role. These mirrors remained standard sniper equipment for the rest of the Pacific campaign. Callahan never returned to frontline sniper duty. In January 1944, he was reassigned to Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton as a sniper school instructor. For the remainder of the war, he trained more than 400 Marine snipers, emphasizing creativity, psychology, and unconventional thinking. His teaching style broke from tradition. Instead of focusing solely on marksmanship, Callahan stressed conceptual problem solving. He would present tactical scenarios and tell his students, "The rifle is just a tool. Your real weapon is creativity. The enemy trains to counter known threats. Your job is to become an unknown one." The Soupkin technique became legend within the Marine sniper community. Stories circulated often exaggerate out about Callahan's 5 days on Bougainville. The reality, impressive enough on its own, gradually faded beneath layers of myth. Post-war analysis by military historians evaluated the operation's true significance. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The general conclusion was that while Callahan's actions were tactically remarkable, they were not strategically decisive. Even so, the psychological effect and lasting doctrinal influence justified the operation's legendary reputation. Callahan demonstrated that individual soldiers could devise tactics capable of reshaping operational behavior. Japanese training manuals captured in 1945 confirmed this impact. They showed that specific countermeasures had been developed in response. One directive outlined strict rules. Do not investigate unusual light phenomena without officer authorization. Conduct any investigation with minimal personnel from maximum cover. Assume all unfamiliar sounds are enemy deception unless proven otherwise. These measures validated Callahan's success. When an enemy is forced to write doctrine to counter your method, their behavior has been changed. Thomas Callahan survived the war without physical injury. He was promoted to gunnery sergeant in March 1945 and awarded the Navy Cross. The citation stated in part for extraordinary heroism and distinguished service while serving as a scout sniper. Gunnery Sergeant Callahan employed exceptional tactical innovation to neutralize enemy positions with devastating effectiveness. Callahan left active duty in November 1945 and returned to Montana. He seldom spoke publicly about his wartime experiences. In a 1978 interview, he reflected on the soup can operation. People focus on the kill count. That wasn't what mattered. What mattered was proving that individual initiative could change outcomes. The Marine Corps gave me a mission and trusted me to find solutions. That trust, the willingness to let a sergeant try crazy ideas, that's what won the war. When asked if he felt proud, Callahan paused. "I'm proud we won. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. I'm proud I helped Marines survive by removing threats, but I'm not proud of killing. Every one of those 112 men was someone's son, maybe someone's father. They fought for their country, same as I did. Necessary doesn't mean proud. It just means necessary." Callahan died in May 2003 at the age of 81 in Missoula, Montana. His obituary mentioned his Marine service but focused on his 40-year career as a high school teacher and coach. Former students remembered him as patient, supportive, and always stressing creative problem. Solving the soup can technique endures in military training and tactical literature. Modern deception operations trace their conceptual roots to Callahan's innovation. While technology has advanced, the underlying principle remains the same. Force the enemy to react to false signatures, creating moments of exposure that can be exploited. At the Marine Corps Scout Sniper School at Camp Pendleton, a dedicated course on historical sniper innovations includes detailed study of Callahan's soup can method. Students learn not only how it worked, but why it worked, observe the enemy, understand their priorities, identify what they cannot ignore, and weaponize their response. Today, Callahan's principles extend far beyond sniping. Military deception, psychological operations, and counterintelligence all apply variations of his core idea: create false signatures, compel enemy reactions, then exploit them. In 2015, an updated Marine Corps sniper manual included a section titled Historical Foundations of Deception Operations. Callahan's photograph appears beside the words. Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Callahan demonstrated that combat effectiveness comes not from superior equipment, but from superior thinking. His employment of improvised deception devices on Bougainville exemplified Marine Corps values. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Innovation, initiative, and mission accomplishment through unconventional means. The lessons from Callahan's operation extend beyond the military. First, constraints breed innovation. Callahan succeeded partly because he lacked resources. Second, observation precedes action. He spent more time studying enemy behavior than firing his rifle. Third, psychology can outweigh technology. The soup cans themselves were simple, but they exploited a sophisticated understanding of human behavior. Fourth, teaching multiplies impact. Fifth, success requires institutional support. Callahan didn't invent sniper warfare or military deception, but he synthesized existing concepts in novel ways, adapted them to specific circumstances, and achieved results beyond expectation. His creativity under pressure, his willingness to try unconventional methods, and his humble acknowledgement of war's moral complexity elevate his story beyond mere tactical interest. Today, the original Springfield rifle Callahan used on Bougainville resides in the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Triangle, Virginia. Displayed alongside it are 3 dented, rusted soup cans recovered from the battlefield in 2007. The placard reads, "These ordinary objects transformed by extraordinary thinking represent the innovative spirit that defined American fighting forces in World War II." Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Callahan proved that success often comes not from the best tools, but from using available tools in the best way. The 5 days from the 10th of November to 15, 1943, demonstrated individual initiative that changed doctrine. 112 confirmed enemy casualties resulted not from superior firepower, but from creativity applied to discarded trash. In an era of smart weapons and precision, guided munitions, Callahan's story reminds us that the human factor remains decisive. Technology amplifies capability, but creativity defines possibility. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The Marine sergeant who turned soup cans into weapons showed that innovation matters more than equipment. Thinking beats spending, and sometimes the simplest solution is the most effective. Japanese forces on Bougainville learned this lesson painfully. They faced an enemy who refused to fight predictably, who weaponized light and sound, and who turned their own caution against them. The psychological damage, the hesitation, and the paranoia lingered, even after countermeasures were implemented. The final irony was in its simplicity. No secret weapons, no advanced technology, just understanding applied with precision. The Japanese knew Americans had industrial power and abundant resources. They never imagined American ingenuity could weaponize garbage. Failure of imagination cost them 112 soldiers in 5 days and, more importantly, operational confidence in a critical sector. When troops cannot trust their own observations, when every anomaly might be a lethal deception, combat effectiveness collapses. Callahan achieved this, not through superior firepower, but through superior thinking. His legacy endures. Every military force that studies his operation learns the same lessons. Understand your enemy, exploit their psychology, innovate constantly, and teach what you learn. These principles remain relevant wherever humans fight. Thomas Callahan's soup can trick stands as a testament to American military culture at its best. Decentralized command that trusted junior leaders, a willingness to try unconventional approaches, and rapid adoption of successful innovations. This culture proved decisive in World War II and remains a core advantage for the U.S. military today. In final tribute, perhaps Callahan's own words from his 2002 interview capture the essence best. "I didn't do anything special. I just looked at the problem differently. The enemy was good. They were disciplined, trained, dangerous. I couldn't beat them at their own game, so I changed the game, that's all. Change the game. Find advantage where none exists. Make the enemy fight your fight, not theirs." That's what the soup cans did. They changed the game. Humble yet profound. Those words epitomize the innovation that defined American victory in the Pacific. Thomas Michael Callahan, Marine sniper. Teacher, innovator, the man who weaponized sunlight and turned soup cans into instruments of victory. His 5 days on Bougainville proved that sometimes the best weapon isn't the newest or most powerful. Sometimes it's the one nobody else thought to use. The jungle has reclaimed the battlefield. The soup cans have rusted away. The soldiers are mostly gone, but the lessons remain, preserved in doctrine taught in schools, and remembered by those who understand that warfare's ultimate weapon is the human mind, applied with courage and creativity to the problem at hand. That is how an American Marine sergeant changed tactical doctrine with garbage, ingenuity, and the willingness to try something crazy. That is how you win wars, not with bigger guns, but with better thinking. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more.